So Bombs and Blooms is the story of my husband's uncle, who was a Silver Star recipient in World War II, and he was a pilot of a B-17, which is like that. He was stationed in England, and he flew 28 bombing missions in the European theater. And we have the mission logs of all of those bombing missions. So it was just an interesting, artifact to have, and something quite unique. And my husband kept bothering me for years about, writing a story, writing a play about this. So I found out that this man was also, he had worked for a florist shop before he had enlisted in the Army. So the idea that he was an artist warrior was what really captured my interest in writing the story, because it's the human side of it, it's the relational side of it, not necessarily the military side. Although we are incorporating 9 of the bombing missions into the play, we're using this B-17 on set, and I just love how expansive it is, that it just, the wingspan covers the entire stage, all 3 stages, and I think it's very symbolic of the expanse of the war and how it touched so many, most all Americans. They loved a soldier, or they knew a soldier, every American pretty much. And it was a very close to home war, even though it was a continent away. I think today, we read about wars, you see a little clip on the evening news, you see a little blurb in the newspaper, but you're not living it like these people in World War II were. So that's an important part of the story, I think, is just the relational part and what it was like for those that were left behind, or that were supporting the soldiers emotionally and physically at home, whether they were working, women working in munitions factories, or even children collecting, milkweed to make life preservers, and the rationing and collecting of medals and victory gardens. The American public was very involved in the war. So that was an intriguing part of this story, is showing those relationships and the voids that were left behind by the soldiers. Well, I hope it's all new. I mean, what you're seeing put together here, I'm not sure of anyone who's used a B-17 in their set before. Maybe Hollywood. Well, actually, this was a Hollywood B-17. I just think that it adds a lot of an extra dimension to the theater experience. I mean, this is a play. It's a play with music. So I'm interested in doing educational theater, pretty much only interested in that. I just feel like if you're going to put the time and effort into it, let's learn something, and let's help the audience to learn something. I think it deals with real life, and the venue is so supportive of that. It's so rich. It just adds an extra element here of believability to the story. And I think it's more experiential. You're not just going into a theater, you're going into a museum where there actually are pieces from that era. Our actors are wearing, well, the soldiers are wearing authentic uniforms from the 1940s. So that should probably bring back some memories to some the few vets who may be coming in to see this show. I just think the historical element and the venue, it is such a wonderful facility here, in the backyard of Geneseo. I'm not sure most people have actually been here, so this is just providing another opportunity for them to come, a reason for them to get here, maybe an audience that wouldn't otherwise come here, because it is very relational and three-dimensional. So I really like the idea that it is living history, and I just think it's a very enriched environment to be producing this play in. One thing is, the first rehearsal that we did down here, I mean, this is a new script. People have never heard this before. This is the first, time it's ever been produced, and it is really a very scaled back production. It's just a staged reading. It's a little bit of an upscale staged reading, so I think the audience will probably get more than what they expect. But just meeting here in the visitor center and then walking my actors out to see the plane, there was just a sense of awe of just like, wow, this is really cool. So I think that that's what the audience is going to feel as well. Is
Right.
when they come and they see that, I think they're going to see this was real.
Yeah.
These were real people, and these kind of things happen. Some of the songs, some of the music is quite poignant. It really does convey the emotion of some of the relationships between the soldier and the officer and the enlisted man, the bonds that were created then, in wartime, they're so fast and so deep, but yet so fleeting, and that's evident in one of the songs. And I have the pilot's wife is singing a song that is really evident of her grief and her loneliness. I think we do a very good job of celebrating the heroes, and most of them I think we consider to be the soldiers. But I would argue that, or I would add that I think a lot of those who stayed home and supported the soldiers were also heroes in their own right, because they had to sacrifice, daily to support the war effort and to support the men that were fighting. So this play is a tribute to them as well, to the civilians. So the tickets are available at the Not Dot shop in Geneseo, at Sweet Arts Bakery, and at the Community Bank.